Here today on this Thursday Locked on Syracuse podcast, coaching, quarterback, and also how should this Albany game be managed? We will get into all of that and more on the Locked on Syracuse podcast.
You are Locked on Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome on in. This is your Thursday Locked on Syracuse podcast. Tyler Rocky flying solo. No Tim Leonard today. Schedules didn't quite work out. He will be back tomorrow on the show. We will break all things Albany down. Not necessarily the X's and O's. It's more going to be a building on a conversation I'm going to have later on in the show where we get into how should this game be managed. I'm going to want Tim's thoughts on all of that because I think it's an important one. And I'll give you my game plan for how Syracuse should work through all of that later on in the show. Also, we will get to some stuff with coaching because Dino Babers, I've got some thoughts there on why the cute factor is gone. You lost it for yourself. I'll tell you why later on as well. And of course, the quarterbacks. Got to hit on them every single day. It's the hot topic. Everyone's got some thoughts, and I'm going to bring to you some Twitter responses as well as some more from myself as well. But first, there's no better place to get all your ACC conference news than the Locked On ACC podcast, hosted by Candace Cooper, a rotating cast of co-hosts as well. You can catch myself on there actually on Thursdays. So today is the day to catch me on the Locked On ACC show. Follow the Locked On ACC podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, we are on YouTube as well. Be sure to find the show there. You can watch me flying solo today on the program. And also find us on Twitter at @LO_Syracuse. And even if you're subscribed to us on Apple, Spotify, all those other different places, still check us out on YouTube because there's plenty of cool stuff that we're going to be doing there. And if you just want to see what Tim and I look like too, go for it. Check us out. We're on YouTube now. So it's a new, easy way to get into the show. I know a lot of kids love watching their YouTube shows. So if you've got a young Orange fan in your life, turn them on to the Locked on Syracuse podcast. Comment as well. We love your comments. We love interacting with your comments on the show. All right. So a lot of conversation about this quarterback battle. And a lot of the tweets that have been thrown our way on our account at @LO_Syracuse or myself at TylerRocky_ have been, you got to play Garrett Shrader. He gives Syracuse a better chance to win. And when I hear that, I get why Syracuse fans want to see Garrett Shrader. I get all of it. It's the new shiny toy. It's part of why a season ago, Syracuse fans wanted to see what someone like Jacoby and Morgan could do. Tim and myself included. We thought that there was a chance that Jacoby and Morgan would give the team a better chance to win, even though he showed it in limited drives against Wake Forest in that one game in garbage time. But the big reason why I'm hesitant to say Garrett Shrader gives Syracuse a better chance to win is the following. I don't know if Garrett Shrader gives this team a better chance to win. I don't know if you can say that Garrett Shrader definitively gives this team a better chance to win. Because what have you seen from Garrett Shrader? Now, he may give you a different look. It's if you want to say, hey, Garrett Shrader, throw him in there because we want to see what he can do. I get that. I think that's perfectly valid. I think a lot of Syracuse fans want to see what Garrett Shrader can do when he is given a full opportunity. But to say that he automatically gives Syracuse a better chance to win, I think is a little naive because what we have seen from him, very limited. I think his debut and scripting his debut was not the brightest idea that Dino Babers has had as the head coach of Syracuse. Because when you script someone's debut, and Tommy, even though there were 0 points on the board at the time when Tommy DeVito was pulled from the game for Garrett Shrader, Tommy was moving the ball. He was 7 of 8 at the time. I believe he had 68 yards at that moment. The reason why the drives stalled were not Tommy DeVito's fault. They were penalties. They were the phantom fumble from Taj Harris. So to me, I don't think that that was the right thing to do. You should not have scripted a debut like that. Now, if you wanted to script a debut against a team like Albany, albeit, go for it. But against the Power 5 opponent in what Tim and I, and really anyone that covers Syracuse football, called a litmus test game, because you saw how bad Ohio was, and they have continued to prove how bad they are as a football program by losing as a 28.5-point favorite against Duquesne, an FCS school, which Syracuse is going to have to hope that they do not drop one to an FCS school this upcoming week. But the Ohio game didn't tell anyone anything about this Syracuse team. What the Rutgers game could do is tell you how this team was really going to play the season. And quite frankly, they dropped an egg. It was a very, very lackluster performance, and Syracuse fans not happy with it. But to say that Garrett Shrader gives you the better chance to win, no, he gives you a new look at a way to win. We don't know if it's going to be better. Because from what I saw in those first two drives, when he was playing against real defense from Rutgers, I didn't see a lot. I thought with all the times that I saw the pocket collapse, even though he did have a lot more time to throw than Tommy did, about half a second was what the data said. He was getting about half a second more to throw. I thought that when he was pressured, we would see him step up in the pocket, get outside the pocket, try to make plays happen with his legs. Instead, I almost saw him really just crack under the pressure of what came up. I mean, I thought I was going to see this dynamic runner. I saw a guy that I can't definitively say he is faster than Tommy DeVito. I can't definitively say he can climb or evade the pocket and get outside and make plays happen with his legs better than Tommy DeVito. I didn't see any of that. And I think he was given plenty of opportunity to show some of that stuff in his limited amount of time. I didn't see it. I saw a guy who ran into pressure, ran into his offensive line, and I think maybe used the benefit of his height a little bit to fall forward for a yard or two on some of those. But when this offensive line is as bad as it is, and I know the Pro Football Focus grades are out, and I do want to dispel a little bit of some of the numbers behind that, because Matthew Bergeron, his numbers are off the charts, and he actually looks like he has taken a step forward, which is a good sign for the most important man on the most important unit on this football team right now, the left tackle of the offensive line, the unit that needed to take the biggest step forward year to year. Matthew Bergeron has done that. His Pro Football Focus blocking grade was 92.3, one of the best in the entire country. But where those numbers can sort of lie to you is this. First of all, the best parts of the Rutgers pass rush, which we told you, this is a team that can live in the backfield, but they're not necessarily proficient at sacking the quarterback. The strength of the Rutgers pass rush is in the interior and with their linebackers and how those players make plays. Their edge rushers didn't scare you a whole heck of a lot. And that's where Matthew Bergeron is primarily concerned with. I'm not taking away anything from him. I think he has had a very good season this year. But I need to see more from the rest of the offensive line. And until we see that, I don't think it matters who's in at quarterback. Hopefully Dakota Davis is back. I think this is the perfect sort of landing spot for him against an FCS team. You treat it like a preseason game. He can get a little confidence and everything like that with him. But the rest of the offensive line, unless it shores itself up, it's not going to matter who's back there at quarterback. And even with a bad offensive line, if Tommy DeVito can convince himself to not take the sacks like he has in seasons past and try to do more with his legs, I still think Tommy might give you the better chance to win back there. I'm not going to definitively say it is because we haven't seen the full body of work with Garrett Shrader, but the best quarterback is going to be the one that can get away from pressure, make throws on the run, and make plays happen with their legs. I didn't see Garrett Shrader do any of that against Rutgers. And that's a big problem because if this guy is supposed to be your dual threat option that you go to, and he's not as good with his legs as Tommy has been during the course of his Syracuse career, which running the football with Tommy, I think, is actually one of his more underrated attributes. If Garrett Shrader can't do that, then he's not going to give you the better chance to win. So until we see what he can do with his legs, and I think with Albany, you're going to get to see a little more of those read options and RPOs and all that stuff, see what he can do. Until we see that, we're not going to know whether or not Garrett Shrader gives Syracuse a better chance to win. He's going to have to win with his legs. And I haven't seen anything from Garrett Shrader's legs. I've seen recklessness with the football, and I've seen a guy who can take advantage of some prevent defense. So I'll get you some poll results too on the other side of this quick break, and also a little more reasons why I'm a little concerned with the whole quarterback situation as well. But this episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it is impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? You don't know the answer to that sort of stuff. Instead, you can go to rockauto.com because they've got all these different options for you, and they tailor it perfectly to the customer. You're also going to save plenty of time and money when you use Rock Auto. Like, you go to the auto parts store, you go to the car dealership, you may be spending 30%, 50%, maybe even 100% more than what you're going to get with the prices at rockauto.com. They're a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for 20 years, and their prices are reliably low for every customer. So go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, and write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Again, that's the important part. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Hit them up, rockauto.com. All right, so we threw a poll out on our Twitter account at @LO_Syracuse. I just asked the simple question: who do you want to see at quarterback for Syracuse? Who should be the starting quarterback for Syracuse? It's simple. It's what Tim and I have been talking about. And I know he's more in the camp of Shrader. I'm still holding on a little bit of hope to Tommy DeVito because I think he's a much better arm talent. And I haven't seen anything out of Shrader's legs to say that he's a better runner than DeVito. The poll kind of went according to plan here. Garrett Shrader gets 48% of the vote. Tommy DeVito, 27%. Honestly, based on the way, if you just track Syracuse Twitter, a little bit higher than you may have expected for Tommy DeVito to be the starting quarterback of this football team. I don't know if there's a lot of Tommy DeVito burner accounts out there, some family burners out there, whatever. I was a little shocked to see that number as high as it was. And then there's the camp that I fall in, that it does not matter. It doesn't matter unless the offensive line gets better. If the offensive line gets better, then it's going to come down to who can throw the football better. I still think that's going to be Tommy DeVito, but Garrett Shrader has a chance to prove himself, show some things, and maybe he is better running the football than what we've seen thus far. Again, small sample. I'm not going to make or break him off of 3 drives, but I'm going to need to see. If he can't run against Albany, that's a problem because this Albany team is not going to be some sort of stiff challenge. I'll get to my thoughts on Albany and how this game can be managed, but basically the crux of it is no job is going to be won in this Albany game, but jobs can be lost. And I will hit on a little bit more of what all that means. So the reason why for Garrett Shrader, I was still a little upset with how that game was managed against Rutgers is because I felt like Tommy was moving the ball. He was doing all right. And then all of a sudden, his rhythm and flow is disrupted. 3 drives where he had to watch from the sideline and didn't get a chance to be out there. Maybe recoup some of the chemistry and timing that he had with some of his receivers. And Garrett Shrader didn't set the world on fire. I don't think he did enough to warrant getting that 3rd drive. When you go 3 and out, and have -3 yards through your first 2 drives out there, that's not impressive stuff because guess what? Players have had success cold in college football. They frankly have. I mean, look at McKenzie Milton. McKenzie Milton, coming off of a super devastating injury, goes out there and nearly takes down one of the top teams in the country in Notre Dame. National spotlight. Everyone's watching. And Garrett Shrader went out there and was flat for 2 drives and then poked some holes through a prevent defense. I get that this system is complex and coaching is a whole nother wrinkle that we can get into here, but I'll tell you what I saw out of Garrett Shrader left a lot to be desired. And I'm not going to make my entire sweeping judgment off of his 3 drives, but we have seen quarterbacks come in and light it up right away. Heck, we've seen quarterbacks with this Syracuse program come in and light it up in reserve roles. I think of Zach Mahoney. Even Tommy DeVito has done it. Clayton Welch has looked good on drives. You're talking about some former walk-ons with this Syracuse program that look good in this offense. And Garrett Shrader, quite frankly, didn't do anything for me. Not that Tommy DeVito has done a heck of a lot either. It's been largely underwhelming. And that's why this team still needs a complementary running game, because it did struggle when it was put to a big test against Rutgers. I do want to get to something with Dino Babers here, because he continues to go to his press conferences and babble on with his movie quotes. And that's something that has sort of rubbed me, Tim, and I know a lot of other people that watch and cover Syracuse football, has rubbed us the wrong way for these past couple of years. The movie quotes are cute when you're up and coming and you're building the program, you're building your charisma, you're starting to make the winning track. You have the big post-game speeches after beating Virginia Tech and Clemson and then Florida State, and then you turn that into a 10-win season. That's all cute. But once you go 10-3 and you give fans a taste of what winning, fun, rock-solid football looks like, you lose the cute factor. And Dino Babers, for better or for worse, in 2018 lost the cute factor, because he showed Syracuse fans, I can build a winner. This is what winners look like. This is how winners play. And you go out there and you win yourself a bowl game. To me, you cannot give fans a taste of winning and then just take it away. I was in college during that 2018 football season. When I look back at the most fun times I had, it was that 2018 football season. The only thing that it comes second to is the miracle Final Four run. And let me tell you, they're a lot closer than some people may think, because having a winning football program when you've got a whole week built up to one game and then you go out there and you see what you got for that one game, it's fun. It's fun for everyone involved in the program. And Dino Babers, he built himself a nice little cushion that year. But during the process, and obviously he parlayed that into a big contract, big buyout, all that stuff, a lot of the big reasons why Syracuse football fans feel like the program is doomed for the future. But during that process, he lost the cute factor, because you gave people a taste of a winner. And no one wants to go back to the old times. No one wants to go back to the 4-8s, or God forbid, the 1-10 sort of season that we saw a year ago. You set an expectation that the bowl games should happen. And not only did you set the expectation that the bowl game should happen, but you set that while also losing a quarterback, but the guy who is next in line, higher rated, Elite 11 camps. You put yourself in a national recruiting spotlight to a degree. You're fending off Mississippi States, Texas A&Ms, Washington States, Michigans. You're fending off Power 5 programs for top-tier talent. And when you do that, you put a target on your back. You put a target on your back because now the fans have expectations. They want to win, and they should want to win because you gave them a taste of it. The cute factor is gone with Dino Babers, and that's why a lot of people are fed up. Movie quotes, the hiding information and all that stuff, close to the vest, competitive advantages and all that. I get the competitive advantage stuff, but I don't need to hear the gladiator quotes anymore. I have had enough with all that sort of stuff, and I know a lot of Syracuse fans have too. And that's why Dino Babers has to get back to winning ways. If you want to keep that charisma, that mantra up, go for it. But there has to be winning football along the way, because when you built up with all that stuff, it led to winning football. But now when you're building up with it and it's not leading to winning football, you've created impatience. You've created impatience with the fan base. And that's why a lot of people are quickly losing faith in Dino Babers. All right, coming up next, I'll tell you how I want to see Syracuse sort of game plan this Albany game. But first, I got to tell you about something that's not so fun to talk about. It is SweatBlock. You know, excessive sweating through your shirts for no reason, embarrassing. But when you use SweatBlock, all of those worries go away. You only got to apply it once or twice during the week, and then you're good to go. Because I know you can find yourself in these weird situations. You can find yourself, whether it's the final weeks of summer and maybe you're running a little late to the office. You don't want to sweat through that shirt. You don't want to sweat during an important speech, interview, or God forbid, a first date. You'd rather not worry about it, and that's why you should use antiperspirant wipes from SweatBlock. It's stronger and more effective than most clinical antiperspirants. You simply apply it at night before bedtime, wake up, wash, go about your day. You don't have to worry about it. That's a guarantee that they're going to make to you. Sounds too good to be true, but you only got to use it once or twice a week, and it keeps you dry for the entirety of it. So if you or someone you love is dealing with this, you have to check out SweatBlock. Get it today for 20% off at sweatblock.com with the promo code LOCKEDON, or you can find them at Amazon or CVS. And hey, back and better than ever, all eyes on the gridiron as teams are ready for another football season. We've only had 1 or 2 weeks of this thing. We've got a whole football season ahead of us, and you got to make sure to get in all of your wagers at BetOnline because it is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. They've got a new updated site and interface. It is super easy to use. It is what I like to call grandpa proof. You can use it. It's super easy to navigate. It is the number one source for everything football. So head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today, and you'll receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. And don't forget to use the promo code NFL100. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Do not sit on those sidelines anymore. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. And be sure to use our promo code LOCKEDON so you get double the savings. That's right. Double your initial deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Closing things out here with some Albany thoughts. Again, kind of a throwaway game on the schedule. I think Syracuse, it would have been a little bit nicer for this team had they opened the season with Albany. You can kind of play it like a preseason game, figure your quarterback stuff out a little bit. Then you go to Ohio, figure some things out, and then you get hit with Rutgers. Tim and I sort of talked about this in the preseason, how we didn't feel like the schedule set itself up very nicely for Syracuse to have a lot of success this year. But now that you kind of have an identity for your football team, you kind of have figured out some of your strengths and weaknesses, still sort of figuring out the quarterback. Offensive line isn't nearly as good as you thought it may have been. You've got some receivers that seem like they're behind the learning curve, but you still have a really good running back. Your defense has played fantastic this year. That should not be lost during this entire equation. This is your chance to sort of figure some things out. And I'm calling for Dino Babers to treat this like it's a preseason NFL game. I want to see a full half of Tommy DeVito. I want to see a full half of Garrett Shrader. I'm not looking at this game necessarily to see what these guys can do. I'm more looking at it to see what these guys cannot do. If Garrett Shrader goes out there and cannot use his legs and cannot throw the football, then I think you've made this a pretty easy answer as to who your starting quarterback should be the rest of the way. Likewise, on the other side, if Tommy DeVito's given time and he can't complete the deep ball and he can't get this offense in some sort of flow and he can't evade the pocket when there's pressure, then maybe he shouldn't be your starting quarterback. Because if Garrett Shrader goes out there and shows you something in this game, and shows you the ability to use his legs, and shows you the ability that he's got some touch on his deep ball, and Tommy shows that he can't do some of that stuff, then I think the situation becomes a lot more clear. However, we have seen a number of times how Garrett Shrader has not proven to be a guy that can use his legs. I've seen better running play from Tommy DeVito than I have from Garrett Shrader. If Shrader goes out there and acts recklessly with the football, then that's all I need to see, because I saw recklessness in that other game against Rutgers when he did play, and there were stakes, and you were in the game. Because if Shrader played well to close out that half, there's no doubt in my mind that Dino Babers would have stuck with him. If he had led multiple scoring drives or scoring opportunities, then yeah, I think that makes the decision easy. If he turns that final drive into a touchdown instead of a field goal, there's a chance that we see Garrett Shrader out there to start that second half. because you go with the guy that gives you momentum. And that's part of why I didn't like Dino pulling Tommy. So my whole mantra, MO, game plan against Albany, you should run through them. You really should. And I know Sean Tucker is probably going to be given a fair number of carries in this game. And that's fine. I'm cool with giving Sean Tucker some carries. I think he can maybe bust off a couple of 50-yard runs like he did against Ohio, 40-yard runs. Get this team out to a little bit of a lead where you don't have to worry about the result. You can start to worry about the development of these players. And that's what it comes down to with DeVito and Shrader, developing these guys so that they are ready when you take on Florida State, Liberty, rest of your ACC schedule. I'm looking, if you can get a full half of DeVito, full half of Shrader, see what these guys can and can't do. And the can't is a little bit more important than the can, because if you can't do it against Albany, it's a good chance you can't do it against Florida State. Good chance you can't do it against Liberty. Good chance you can't do it against Pitt. I need to see a little bit more about what these quarterbacks are, because I don't think we've seen necessarily what Garrett Shrader is. For better and for worse, I don't necessarily think he gives you a better chance to win. I just don't know what type of chance to win he gives you quite yet. I'm not going to find that magical answer in this Albany game either, but it's something that needs to be taken into account. If he can't run the ball against Albany, he's not going to be able to run the ball against anyone. So, and also I want to see some guys that maybe are on the fringe right now be given a chance to play. I think this is a big game for the secondary, sort of acclimating itself, departure of Ben LaBrosse. I think that there are some things that still can be worked out on defense once you go up against some more potent passing attacks, which you'll see throughout the season, and against some more prolific quarterbacks, because you're going to see a couple of good ones coming up after this Albany game, specifically Malik Willis from Liberty, because he's a guy who torched Syracuse a season ago. And if he plays at the level that he's capable of playing at, he's not going to win the Heisman, but you'd see him on those Heisman ladders, where those top 10s, the things that you used to see Eric Dungy on from time to time during that 2018 season. So I think that giving some of these fringe guys a chance to play, especially at the receiver position. And one of our guys, who loyal listener, Dominic, Baptized by Fire on Twitter, he pointed something out to us and said, I want to see some of these freshman wide receivers. And to that question, I would say this. Or I guess it's not really a question. It's more of a statement and a desire, and it's on Santa's wish list. To that, I would say this is so complex for the guys that are already out there. What makes you think that a freshman, whether it be a true freshman, redshirt freshman, one of these younger underclassmen guys, what makes you think that they have it picked up? Because there were some rookie mistakes being made, at least from the standpoint of what this offense requires. There were rookie mistakes being made by guys like Quealy and Courtney Jackson, and maybe even Taj Harris can be lumped into that group as well. If those guys are having troubles, what makes you confident that Oronde Gadsden is going to be able to pick it up right away? That the guy that Tim and I had been calling for in the preseason, Damian Alford, that he's going to pick it up right away? Because it's one thing to be a training camp hero. And Syracuse plays a training camp hero every single week with Courtney Jackson, it feels like. But it's another thing to see these guys go in and make plays. And I don't know if you're going to be ready to make plays when this offense is as complex as it's been advertised to us as. So will they see time in this game? Yes. I hope they see time in this game too. They deserve to, because it's against a lesser opponent. But if let's say that they can show that they have a grasp of the offense, and Dino does throw some complex stuff their way as just true freshmen, and they do earn themselves a chance to play right away, then guess what? Then you maybe change the narrative there. But for right now, I think everything may be a little too complex for those guys to see excessive snaps. Remember last year, we didn't see a lot of a number of receivers because they didn't understand the intricacies of the offense. And that's why, even though Nykeem Johnson was pretty much a non-factor all season long, he was still out there because he had the better grasp of the offense. That's just the way it was. So All right. Those are my thoughts on how Syracuse should manage this Albany game. Tim will be back with me tomorrow. I want to get his thoughts on all of that. We'll do the prop shop. No DeBundo's digits tomorrow. Albany game. Not a lot of data on them. Not a lot that he can pick up on. But he will be back with us the rest of the season. So I will be back with you guys tomorrow with Tim. Should be fun. Albany preview. Hopefully that's win number 2, because if it's not, there are going to be a lot of questions that need to be asked for this football team. So we will talk to you guys all things Albany, all things game management. That's coming up on tomorrow's show.